Ever since I couldn't even remember, I have always loved cars. And as I grew up, that translated into me buying toy cars and various little bits. And as I kind of got closer to being 16, 17 years old, just before I could drive, I got into this real mood of buying the classic American magazines. And I would sit there and I would circle the cars that I want, and I would think about how am I going to save up and buy these. And they've always had a huge part in my life. When I was younger, I used to go to America, and it's just always been with me. Ever since I started driving, I've had various things, mostly German, and recently I've been getting into Japanese things, kind of like this Lexus, which I absolutely adore. But you may have known, you may not have known, I had a Land Rover Discovery TD5. I've had that for about 5 years, and last month I sold it. I thought, you know what, I've had my time with it, and I think that if I sell it, I can get something I really, really want. So going back to that, you know, I was on the lookout for something American. I wanted a truck. And I know they don't fit on the roads in the UK. I know that they're a bit big, but I've always wanted one. And I thought back to when I used to circle those cars all those years ago. And I went on Facebook Marketplace. And I looked just around the corner from me, maybe about 20 minutes. Big thanks to my friend Jack for taking me down there to go and see it. I bought this. A 1993 Chevy Suburban, Silverado, top of the range. It's a 5.7 litre V8, and it's blue and massive. So first impressions, I mean, look at it, it is vast. And it's a very interesting shade of bluey green, maybe something that Shrek would drive. Now, it's bizarre. The reason it's in the UK, I have no idea. It's been here since, I think, 1995. So it only spent 2 years in the US before it came here. And, well, whilst it doesn't really fit in the UK, I think it fits in with my fleet beautifully. I mean, I do like to buy weird and wonderful things, or maybe you could call it just weird. I guess I like to buy weird things, and it really is one of those. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of exterior walk around and show you some of the, like Doug DeMuro, the quirks and features of this Chevrolet, not Silverado, Suburban. So first off, humongous upright grille, Chevy bow tie on there. Got the American style license size number plate thing, some lovely condensation in these headlights, and some absolutely gigantic recovery hooks on the front. Also, these lovely numbers for pushing people that annoy you in traffic. As we move around, you may notice that there are Ford wheels on here. Now, this was done by a previous owner. He found it too difficult to find tyre sizes that fit on the original wheels. So he found out that Ford Ranger wheels fit, and when you buy them with tyres, they're incredibly cheap. It also has this lovely running board, which I actually don't like. And this one is a 1500 trim. Now, from what I know, these come in 1500 and then 2500, which is the half-ton truck. I'm not super clued up on American stuff just yet. As I stumbled talking about at the beginning of this clip, this is the Silverado trim. This means it gets electric windows, electric power folding mirrors, cruise control. It is the top of the range back in 1993. Here we've got the fuel filler cap and some lovely classic stickers. Looks like retro rides, oh so retro, various different bits and bobs done by a previous owner. Very nice. Now, these could come with two kinds of doors. So this has got the barn door, so you open it like that and the other side opens the same way. Or sometimes I had lift, but the by far more common was the barn doors. And again, you can see down here, you've got the classic American tow hitch and a reversing camera that was put in by a previous owner. The lovely Chevrolet Suburban fuel injection right there. Always too big for everything. And finally, as we come around this end, you've got the exhaust tip down here looking a little bit sorry for itself, but as you'll hear in a moment, quite a fruity sound. And you know what? On this side, there isn't too much to talk about. A very 90s looking aerial and the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car. What do you guys think? What do you think of having a left-hand drive car in the UK? I mean, so far it hasn't bothered me. But let me take you inside and show you how nice that is. Right, let's jump inside on the wrong side of the car. Now the door is a little bit squeaky. These do suffer from the pins in the door going a bit weak over time, and a couple of the doors do creak and moan a little bit when you open them. But yeah, inside, let me locate the keys. You've got a very 90s steering wheel. I'm going to pull them out actually because that is an absolutely horrible noise. And yeah, a very, very 90s interior. There isn't too much to talk about. I mean, the very square gauge cluster. You've got just one stalk with everything on it, including the cruise control, but the writing's all faded, so it's a bit of a guess as to how it works. If I turn the car on, you see all the gauges light up here. What I found incredibly strange was that the gauge cluster only goes up to 80 miles an hour. Now, the previous owner also put in these two additional gauges. You've got a rev gauge here, and you've got the temperature of the coolant here, because the GM1 is a little unreliable. Up here, you've got controls for the rear climate control, or you can set it to rear control only. Other than that, you've just got two very lovely, very plush captain's chairs up here. I've driven this probably about 40 or 50 miles since I bought it, and it is delectably comfortable in here. Cool, right, let's jump into the back. Oh, it's full of parts, perfect. So, as I climb in here and throw those over there, you can see we've got a lovely 3-row seating on the second row. Now, to get into the third row, you actually have to go from the passenger side, which would be the driver's side in the UK. A little bit dangerous, but this seat folds forward and that allows people to climb into the back. Now, back here, there isn't a huge amount of amenities. You've got that rear climate control there. You've got a couple of dome lights. Other than that, this was pretty basic 90s motoring. Even though it's very plush, it's playing a game of I Spy out the window, I'm afraid. Now, let's get into the third row. So like I said a second ago, getting into the third row requires pulling this seat forwards, or you can do what I always did as a kid and just do something like this. There we go. And this is the third row. Actually, the first time I've ever been back here. Another 3 rows of seats, accompanied by a lovely spare wheel back here. But you get cup holders in the third row. I think my friends are gonna love road tripping in this. And it doesn't stop, because whilst I've done the third row, there is also, of course, the boot to think about. Now, it's not very interesting, just like some other boots, but you've got a spare tyre, you've got a weird little storage tray here. There's actually no carpeting in the boot, so it's got this catch-all mid-thingy on it, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's gonna be great for when I move house, because I'll just be able to put everything I own in here. Moving under the big hood, because we're American here, of the Chevy. Now, first off, I love American cars because they don't have to have a prop. They have these very cool swirly things that keep the bonnet open, and I know that my friend Jack, who's going to be doing a lot of work on this, will also appreciate not having a stick to hold it up. So, talked about under here, we've got a V8. That's pretty much it. That's the most important bit, right? It's got a 5.7 litre V8 putting out the masterful amount of horsepower of 210. Yes, that is the same as my 3-litre E36 and about the same as what an X5 puts out, which is also a 6-cylinder. This, at one point in its life, had AC. A previous owner has chopped the AC to all God's given earth, and it will probably never work again. So one downside about it. But to be honest, that's really the only downside that I've found under here. The wiring has been mucked about a bit. There's some speaker wire I've spotted down here. Probably shouldn't be there. But in general, we've had new earths put in. And as I mentioned inside, the temperature reader on these is a little bit weak. So what he's done is he's run a new one just here. The wiring could probably be tidied up, but that's what runs to those gauges and gives us an accurate temperature reading for the Burb. Now, another couple of cool things that Chevy have done is they've put in some lights under here. That one isn't working at the moment, but there's this one, which I believe is, and it comes on a really long, spindly piece of wire. Now, why did they do this? Well, it's so you can work on your own car in the dark. They say that this piece of wire will let you take this light as far as the back corner of the car to do any work on that you need. And you just turn it on and off using a little switch down here. Isn't that nice? So moving on, what are the issues? Well, to summarize, the electrics needs a good looking at. Needs going over. Obviously the previous owner did some bits and bobs, but I want to really button it up and tidy up those electrics. The wheels, as lovely as the Ford ones are, I would quite like to put the original Chevy ones back on, so I'll need to try and source some tyres for those. As I mentioned before, the doors, they do make that horrible noise, so we'll have to get some parts in, see if we can repair the hinges on there. And other than that, there really isn't too much. It's just going to be me enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to taking it to car shows and towing with it and getting 9 miles to the gallon with it everywhere I go. It's made to be driven, and by God am I going to drive it. So definitely keep an eye out, because there's going to be some more videos on that. So moving back in, what is the summary of this car? It is very thirsty. I think it's probably the first thing to say. I looked it up. On a run, I can maybe expect 16 to 18 mpg. Around town, 8 to 10. So a mix looking at 12 to 13 mpg. It is going to be juicy to run. I don't mind that. I've just come out of a Land Rover that was fairly juicy to run anyway. On top of that, it's qualifying for classic insurance, so it's not too bad to insure. I'm enjoying it, and my plans for this are to keep enjoying it. As I mentioned, to take it to car shows, to take my mates out and do what the Suburban does best, which is road trips. I want to do the NC 500 in it, or take it to Ireland, or take it to the continent where it will fit in because it's left-hand drive. Who knows? But I really think I've got a good base for this. And look, people will say, modify it. Are you gonna modify it? Maybe. Maybe I will modify it. Maybe I'll make the exhaust a little bit fruitier. I'll put a clip of how it sounds now in at this point. And yeah, I don't know. Try and make the very lazy V8 maybe slightly less lazy. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I've been Ollie's Cars, and if you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe and leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite American car is. Do you want something big like this, a pickup truck? Or would you want something like a Mustang, a sports car? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.